Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, translated with commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Adi Lila, Chapter 7, Lord Chaitanya in 5 Features. Text 141. It is only by devotional service, beginning with hearing, that one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the only means to approach Him. Purport. Mayavadi philosophers are satisfied simply to understand Brahman to be the sum total of knowledge. But Vaishnava philosophers not only know in detail about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also know how to approach Him directly. The method for this is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as 9 kinds of devotional service, beginning with hearing. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Bhagavatam 7:5-23. One can directly approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by executing the 9 different kinds of devotional service, of which hearing about the Lord is the most important. Shravanadi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has very favorably stressed the importance of this process of hearing. According to his method, if people are simply given a chance to hear about Krishna, certainly they will gradually develop their dormant awareness or love of Godhead. Shravanadi Sudha Chite Karye Udaya. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 22:107. Love of God is dormant in everyone, but if one is given a chance to hear about the Lord, certainly that love develops. Our Krishna consciousness movement acts on this principle. We simply give people a chance to hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and give them prasadam to eat. And the actual result is that all over the world people are responding to this process and becoming pure devotees of Lord Krishna. We open hundreds of centers all over the world just to give people in general a chance to hear about Krishna and accept Krishna's prasad. These 2 processes can be accepted by anyone, even a child. It doesn't matter whether one is poor or rich, learned or foolish, black or white, old or still a child. Anyone who simply hears about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and takes prasad is certainly elevated to the transcendental position of devotional service. Text 142. By practicing this regulated devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master, certainly one awakens his dormant love of Godhead. This process is called abhideya. Purport. By the practice of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting, the impure heart of a conditioned soul is purified, and thus he can understand his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That eternal relationship is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jiver Swarubhaya Krishnara Nichidas. The living entity is an eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one is convinced about this relationship, which is called sambandha, he then acts accordingly. That is called abhideya. The next step is prayojana siddhi, or fulfillment of the ultimate goal of one's life. If one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and act accordingly, automatically his mission in life is fulfilled. The Mayavad philosophers miss even the first stage in self-realization because they have no conception of God's being personal. He is the master of all, and he is the only person who can accept the service of all living entities. But since this knowledge is lacking in Mayavad philosophy, Mayavadis do not have knowledge even of their relationship with God. They wrongly think that everyone is God, or that everyone is equal to God. Therefore, since the real position of the living entity is not clear to them, how can they advance further? Although they are very puffed up at being liberated, Mayavadi philosophers very shortly fall down again to material activities due to their neglecting the lotus feet of the Lord. That is called patantyata. Aruya krichena param padam tata patyantyata nadvita ismad angarya. Bhagavatam 10:2-32. It is the statement of Prahlad Maharaj that persons who think themselves liberated but do not execute devotional service, not knowing their relationship with the Lord, are certainly misled. One must know his relationship with the Lord and act accordingly. Then the fulfillment of his life's mission will be possible. Text 143. If one develops his love of Godhead and becomes attached to the lotus feet of Krishna, gradually he loses his attachment to everything else. Purport. This is a test of advancement in devotional service. There's some Sanskrit here. In bhakti, a devotee's only attachment is Krishna. He no longer wants to maintain his attachments to many other things. Although Mayavadi philosophers are supposed to be very advanced on the path of liberation, we see that after some time they descend to politics and philanthropic activities. Many big sannyasis who were supposedly liberated and very advanced have come down again to materialistic activities, although they left this world as miccha, false. When a devotee develops in devotional service, however, he no longer has attachments to such philanthropic activities. He is simply inspired to serve the Lord, and he engages his entire life in such service. This is the difference between Vaishnav and Mayavadi philosophers. Devotional service, therefore, is practical, whereas Mayavadi philosophy is merely mental speculation. Text 144. Love of Godhead is so exalted that it is considered to be the fifth goal of human life. By awakening one's love of Godhead, one can attain the platform of conjugal love, tasting it even during the present span of life. Purport. The Mayavadi philosophers consider the highest goal of perfection to be liberation, mukti, which is the fourth perfectional platform. Generally, people are aware of four principal goals of life: religiosity, dharma; economic development, artha; sense gratification, kama; and ultimately liberation, moksha. But devotional service is situated on the platform above liberation. In other words, when one is actually liberated, mukta, he can understand the meaning of love of Godhead, Krishna Prema. While teaching Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stated Koti Mukta Matye Durlabh Ba Eka Krishna Bhakta. Translation. Out of millions of liberated persons, one may become a devotee of Lord Krishna. End translation. The most elevated Mayavadi philosopher can rise to the platform of liberation. But Krishna Bhakti, devotional service to Krishna, is transcendental to such liberation. Srila Vyasadeva explains this fact in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam 1.1.2. Dharma prochita kaita votra paramo nimatsaranam satam vidyam vastavam astravastu shividam tapatrayanamulanam. Translation. Completely rejecting all religions which are materially motivated, the Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are pure in heart. The highest truth is reality, distinguished from illusion, for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. End translation. Srimad Bhagavatam, the explanation of Vedanta Sutra, is meant for Paramo Nirmatsaranam, those who are completely aloof from jealousy. Mayavadi philosophers are jealous of the existence of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, Vedanta Sutra is not actually meant for them. They unnecessarily poke their noses in the Vedanta Sutra, but they have no ability to understand it, because the author of Vedanta Sutra writes in his commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam, that it is meant for those who are pure in heart, Paramo Nimatsaranam. If one is envious of Krishna, how can he understand the Vedanta Sutra or Srimad Bhagavatam? The Mayavadi's primary occupation is to offend the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. For example, although Krishna demands our surrender in Bhagavad Gita, the greatest scholar and so-called philosopher in India has protested that it is not to Krishna that we have to surrender. Therefore, he is envious. Since Mayavadis of all different descriptions are envious of Krishna, they have no scope to understand the meaning of Vedanta Sutra. Even if they were on the liberated platform, as they falsely claim, here Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami repeats the statement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that love of Krishna is beyond the state of liberation.